It's finally done. After weeks of speculation, frustration, and a fair bit of drama surrounding training camp, the James Cook contract saga has officially come to a close. The Buffalo Bills have locked in their explosive running back to a 4-year extension. And if there's one thing to take away from this, it's that the Bills know exactly who their second-best offensive weapon is. The noise, the hold-in, the uncertainty gone. Now, like Cook himself said, it's time to play football. And let's be honest, this was long overdue. Cook signs a deal worth $48 million, with $30 million guaranteed, keeping him in Buffalo for the 2029 season. In the modern NFL, that's a commitment that speaks volumes, not just about Cook's talent, but about how the organization views his impact on this offense. For a team with Super Bowl aspirations, making sure your top playmakers are locked in should always be a priority. And that's exactly what General Manager Brandon Beane just did. Now, to some, this might feel like a bit of a surprise, especially considering the way running backs have been devalued around the league in recent years. Teams hesitate to pay the position, banking on depth, rotations, and plug-and-play rookies. But Buffalo made a statement here. James Cook isn't just another back. He's their guy, and he's earned that recognition with more than just his numbers. He's earned it with his presence, his consistency, and his explosiveness. Let's rewind just a bit. There's been a lot of talk from fans and analysts alike about whether Cook is truly that valuable. The doubters pointed at names like Ray Davis and Ty Johnson, suggesting they could easily step up if Cook didn't sign. But that kind of thinking misses the point entirely. Because when you break down this roster, when you actually look at the pieces around Josh Allen, there's only one player that consistently pops on film who isn't wearing number 17. And that's number 4. James Cook is not just a solid contributor. He's a game breaker. A home run threat every time he touches the ball. In an offense that has desperately needed someone to take the weight off Josh Allen's shoulders, Cook has emerged as that weapon. And if we're being real, the idea that this team could afford to move on from him just doesn't hold water. He is the best offensive player on this roster, not named Josh Allen. Full stop. You look around the league and you see players like Kyren Williams getting paid, and it becomes clear, if Williams is worth what he got, Cook is worth more. And that's exactly what happened. Cook's new deal slightly exceeds Williams' contract, and while it doesn't hit that elite top-of-the-market figure, like $15 million a year, it sits comfortably in that upper-tier range. It's fair. It rewards performance. And most importantly, it brings stability to this offense. A lot of people were skeptical that the Bills would get this deal done, and honestly, there was reason to be. Beane hasn't exactly been known for throwing money at the running back position. In fact, there were questions as to whether this front office even valued the position enough to commit this kind of capital. But here's where Cook changed the equation. He made himself indispensable. Whether it was his efficiency, his versatility, or just the way defenses had to account for him every single snap, James Cook made the Bills rethink the way they approach roster building. And Cook played it smart. Quietly, but smart. He didn't blow things up in the media. He didn't go on social to throw jabs. He didn't create division. Instead, he showed up when it mattered. First for mandatory camp, then for training camp, all while drawing just enough attention to keep the pressure on. That hold-in wasn't just a passive protest, it was strategic. It forced the conversation. And now, looking back, it's clear that it worked. You could tell this was coming when Cook returned to practice. That wasn't just business as usual. That was a signal, a hint that something was in motion behind the scenes. And sure enough, the deal dropped. For years. $48 million. And for all the noise about whether it was worth it, the answer is yes. Every dollar. Because you don't let your most dynamic offensive weapon walk in his prime. Not when you're chasing a ring. And here's where it gets even more important. This isn't just about the contract. This is about sending a message. To the locker room. To the fans. To the league. The Bills are committed to keeping their homegrown talent. They're investing in the guys they drafted, developed, and turned into cornerstones. That matters. That sets a tone. Cook is a prime example of that vision in action. He was drafted to be a spark, and that's exactly what he's become. Look at last season. He had 4 rushing touchdowns of over 40 yards. The only player with more was Saquon Barkley. That's elite company. That's a rare skill set. That's the kind of explosiveness that can tilt the field and swing momentum. And now it's locked in through the end of the decade. The criticism that came his way from some fans always felt a bit off. Because if there's one thing the Bills' offense has struggled with over the years, it's generating easy offense. Long, grinded-out drives are hard, especially against top-tier defenses in the playoffs. That's where a player like James Cook makes the difference. He turns 2nd and 8 into 1st and goal. He turns checkdowns into highlight reels. That's what separates him from the pack. Ray Davis and Ty Johnson are solid, but they're not Cook. And if you think they are, just wait until Cook breaks off a 50-yard run this season. That's when the jerseys come back out. That's when the same fans who were ready to move on will be cheering from the edge of their seats. Look, it's not about whether Davis or Johnson can carry the ball. It's about what Cook does to defenses, how he forces teams to respect the run, how he makes life easier for Josh Allen. That's what this deal is about. Not just numbers on a spreadsheet, but impact on the field, strategic leverage, competitive edge. And yes, this is about Josh Allen too. The man is in his prime. The Bills know this is their window. You don't waste that window by letting elite talent walk. You surround your quarterback with weapons. You give him the tools to win. Cook is that kind of tool, and the Bills just made sure he's not going anywhere. Cook bet on himself, and he won. He showed up, kept quiet, stood his ground, and now he's got generational wealth on the table. That kind of self-belief is rare. And honestly, it's admirable. He didn't need the public to understand his motives. As he said himself, no one else's opinion matters. It's his life, his career, his legacy. From the front office's perspective, this deal checks a lot of boxes. It rewards a player they trust. It provides some short-term cap relief. And it sets a precedent for other young players in that locker room. Play well, keep your head down, and the team will take care of you. Beane has now extended 6 players this offseason. That's a front office putting in real work. That's how you build a sustainable contender. And again, this isn't a bloated deal. It's not the kind of contract that handcuffs a franchise. It's reasonable, especially for a team that's close. You don't penny pinch when you're 1 or 2 pieces away. You build around your core. You lock in your game changers. You give your quarterback the help he needs to get over the hump. And that's exactly what this deal represents. James Cook isn't just a player. He's a symbol of the next phase of the Bills' offense. More balance, more versatility, more unpredictability. He opens things up in a way no other back on this roster can. Whether it's splitting out wide, catching passes out of the backfield, or simply breaking a run between the tackles, he's a problem for defenses. And now, he's Buffalo's problem solver for years to come. And with that, the focus can finally shift. No more speculation. No more sideline whispers. No more contract questions. James Cook is here to stay. And the Bills can finally do what they've been waiting to do all offseason, get back to football. With the James Cook extension finally settled, the atmosphere in Buffalo took a noticeable shift. Smiles replaced tension. Focus returned to the field. And perhaps the most important thing? The roster is starting to take shape, both in terms of identity and in clarity. But while the headlines are dominated by Cook's deal, there's another story quietly building, one that could shape how this team looks in Week 1. And it revolves around the wide receiver room, and more specifically, what's going on with Elijah Moore. Now, let's be blunt about it. If this training camp has revealed anything about Moore, it's that availability is still the biggest question mark. When you're trying to make an impression in a new offense, with a new quarterback, in a year where expectations are sky high, being on the field matters more than anything. And Moore simply hasn't been. Whether it's injury or just lingering issues, his absence is starting to speak louder than anything he's put on tape. And for a player who came in surrounded by hype, that's not a good sign. You can feel the urgency in the air. Sean McDermott said it himself after the first preseason game. This is a big week for players trying to carve out a role. And when a coach starts sending messages through the media like that, it's not subtle. It's a warning. The train is getting ready to leave the station, and if you're not ready, you're not getting on. And that's the kind of moment Moore finds himself in now. The leash is shortening, and there's only so much patience to go around. Meanwhile, The guys around him are stepping up. Curtis Samuel is out there running routes, picking up speed, ramping up after his own injury. Khalil Shakir is already out of the boot. Josh Palmer continues to flash. Even KJ Hamler is putting his hand up, scoring touchdowns in preseason and showing that he's still got that burst that made him such a compelling player coming out of college. And then there's Tyrell Shavers, a name that doesn't always get brought up in the national conversation, but inside the building, he's known for one thing: toughness. He's battled through pain, stayed on the field, and kept grinding through training camp. That doesn't go unnoticed. Coaches love guys who show they can play hurt, who fight through camp while others are on the sidelines. So where does that leave Elijah Moore? Honestly, on the bubble. And not just the roster bubble. He's teetering on the edge of relevance. There was a time when Moore's speed was the talking point. The deep threat upside. The quickness off the line. But at some point, potential has to turn into production. And right now, there just hasn't been enough of it. Not in Buffalo. Not this summer. Not when it counts. And this isn't coming from a place of malice. It's not hate. It's just reality. Moore is on his third team already. And while there are always excuses to be made, bad quarterback play, offensive dysfunction, at the end of the day, great players rise above. They find ways to make plays. Garrett Wilson did. Jerry Jeudy did. Same quarterbacks, same system, same limitations. And yet they showed up on Sundays. Elijah Moore didn't. Whispers have been circulating through the NFL community, sending shockwaves across team locker rooms and sports talk shows alike, as the news involving MICAH HYDE has begun to take shape, raising eyebrows among fans and analysts. Rumors suggest that HYDE, known for his exceptional versatility and intelligence on the field, may be signaling the end of one of the league's most celebrated safety duos, a tandem that has been praised for its chemistry, communication, and ability to disrupt offenses with remarkable consistency. Sources close to team management hint that internal discussions have been ongoing for weeks, possibly months, regarding roster adjustments and strategic realignments, which could ultimately lead to this unexpected split. Industry insiders speculate that HYDE's potential departure from his longtime safety partner might not merely be about contract negotiations or salary cap constraints, but could involve a more complex calculus, including future draft picks, coaching changes, or a shift in defensive philosophy. Enthusiasts on social media are already dissecting game footage, attempting to predict how HYDE's unique skill set could influence a new formation or pair with different teammates, generating a mix of excitement and anxiety. Conversations among former players suggest that this split could redefine defensive dynamics, emphasizing a new era where individual talent may sometimes outweigh the magic of historic partnerships. Analysts are also weighing the possibility that this rumor, though unconfirmed, could be part of a strategic leak intended to test fan reactions and gauge public sentiment before any formal announcement. The prospect of MICAH HYDE stepping away from the safety partnership that has become emblematic of elite defensive coordination is sending tremors through fantasy football circles and betting forums, with enthusiasts speculating on the myriad outcomes this separation could provoke. For years, the duo's synchronicity in coverage, tackling, and playmaking has been lauded as the gold standard, and many consider their cohesion responsible for key victories and game-turning defensive stops. Insider chatter suggests that while HYDE remains committed to his craft, shifting team priorities or evolving coaching philosophies might necessitate experimentation with personnel adjustments, creating the possibility that his longtime teammate could be moved or reassigned to accommodate these changes. Rumors swirling within front offices indicate that some executives are already contemplating trades or position shifts, attempting to maximize asset value while maintaining competitive balance. Meanwhile, fan forums and podcast hosts are dissecting every snap, interview, and press conference, hunting for subtle clues that might confirm or refute this potential seismic shift in the league's defensive landscape. Some speculate that this scenario might be a calculated maneuver, using the power of speculation to manipulate media narratives and influence public perception, while others argue that genuine tension or differing career goals could be the primary catalysts. Sources with knowledge of the team's inner workings suggest that this conversation is far from superficial, reflecting deeper strategic discussions about the team's identity, future prospects, and the optimal utilization of high-caliber players like HYDE, who continue to inspire debate and admiration in equal measure. The buzz surrounding MICAH HYDE and the possible dissolution of his legendary safety partnership has prompted extensive analysis from former coaches, retired players, and football pundits, all attempting to anticipate the ripple effects that such a change could create across the league. Speculation points to a combination of on-field performance metrics, injury history, and leadership dynamics as factors influencing the rumored split, with many insiders highlighting HYDE's adaptability as a key asset that could enable him to thrive regardless of his teammates' presence. Meanwhile, rival teams are reportedly monitoring the situation closely, evaluating how potential adjustments could impact their own defensive and offensive strategies, creating an atmosphere of heightened intrigue. The rumor mill suggests that discussions behind closed doors may involve complex negotiations over playtime, formation schemes, and draft strategy, signaling that the possible separation could have far-reaching consequences beyond the immediate roster. Social media sentiment has begun to polarize, with some fans expressing disbelief and mourning the possible end of a pairing that has defined a generation of defensive play, while others celebrate the chance for fresh dynamics and new matchups. Analysts emphasize that HYDE's potential shift might not diminish his effectiveness, but could instead reveal previously untapped potential, reshaping the narrative around his role in the league. Observers note that this story embodies the unpredictable nature of professional sports, where rumors, strategic leaks, and calculated uncertainty often fuel discussion as much as confirmed developments, leaving fans, reporters, and betting markets alike on edge while the situation continues to evolve. Reports hint that if the speculation regarding MICAH HYDE's future holds any truth, teams could soon be witnessing an unprecedented reorganization within the secondary, with ramifications that extend to coaching strategies, defensive statistics, and the psychological impact on players accustomed to established partnerships. The narrative emerging from insiders suggests that such a shift may be motivated not solely by individual contracts or performance, but also by a broader vision for defensive innovation, perhaps aimed at countering emerging offensive trends and exploiting positional flexibility. As the rumor circulates, some believe that HYDE could assume a new leadership role, mentoring younger safeties while maintaining a dynamic influence over game planning, potentially redefining the qualities that make a safety duo effective. Meanwhile, the media frenzy continues unabated, with rumor-laden columns and speculative broadcasts fueling debate about whether such a separation would strengthen or weaken the team, both in terms of immediate results and long-term strategy. Analysts argue that this possibility may highlight a trend toward adaptability and modularity in defensive units, reflecting a larger shift in the league toward maximizing versatility rather than relying exclusively on established chemistry. Fans continue to parse interviews, social media hints, and subtle body language cues from press events, trying to piece together whether this rumor signals a transformative realignment or merely a fleeting blip in the ongoing drama of professional football. In the background, executives appear to be leveraging the uncertainty as a tool for negotiation, testing responses from players, fans, and sponsors, which further adds layers of intrigue and speculation to an already tantalizing story. That's a wrap for now. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay on top of all things Buffalo Bills, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what you think in the comments. See you in the next update.